Weekly climate news. More than 20,500 people are now confirmed to have died in a devastating earthquake that hit Turkey and Syria on Monday. Both nations were hit by a 7.8 magnitude earthquake that reduced buildings to rubble and separated families. The crucial 72-hour window, in which people are most likely to be found alive, has now passed, but one rescuer said there is still some hope of finding further survivors. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is facing growing criticism from families left frustrated by a slow response from rescue teams, as their hope gradually fades with the passing of time. UK to invest £113 million in zero-carbon flight technologies. While aviation is only responsible for around 2% of anthropogenic carbon emissions, this is expected to rise as the number of passengers is expected to double by 2037. The sector is also more difficult to decarbonize than ground-based transport or electricity networks. The UK was one of the first countries to include curbing aviation emissions in their climate targets in 2021. The project should also help to secure thousands of jobs across the supply chain and provide a catalyst for private investment across the UK. Farmers in China spending $280 billion adapting to climate change and nature loss. Spending up to 80% of their income on long-term sustainability of farming. Farmers across China are vulnerable to extreme weather events, like drought and flooding, unpredictable weather patterns and pests. Foodthing, a non-profit organization that spreads knowledge about sustainable food systems in China through studies with farmers, found diversifying their crops and adopting ecological farming practices like encouraging more natural vegetation, were among farmers' key strategies to adapt to these challenges. Study finds 15 million people live under threat of glacial floods. As glaciers melt and pour massive amounts of water into nearby lakes, millions of people across the globe live under the threat of a sudden and deadly outburst flood. More than half of those living in the shadow of the disaster called glacial lake outburst floods are in just 4 countries: India, Pakistan, Peru and China. A second study found more than 150 glacial flood outbursts in history in recent times. Scientists say so far it doesn't seem like climate change has made those floods more frequent, but as glaciers shrink with warming, the amount of water in the lakes grows, making them more dangerous in those rare situations when dams burst. Renewable energy to become the world's top source of electricity by 2025. Demand for electricity is very high and growing. 90% of new demand between now and 2025 will be covered by clean energy sources like wind and solar, along with nuclear energy. This growth in output means that renewables will become the world's largest electricity source within 3 years, providing 35% of the world's electricity and overtaking coal. The good news is that renewables and nuclear power are growing quickly enough to meet almost all this additional appetite.